fun. We haven't done this in a while. I thought it might be fun to do a little longer format, not just me riffing on things, which I normally do, but where it's more like webinar style. So here we are, doing it more like a webinar style. Strap in, ladies. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through my book, basically. As most of you know, I wrote a little short book called Stop Torturing Yourself. And it is the 3 steps that you need to take, the 3 general steps that you need to take in order to really create lasting change in your life, in order to really start loving yourself, in order to really start the transformation that you know that you want to have. Hello, Carolyn. So if you haven't grabbed it already, hop on over to Member Vault and grab your copy. It's free. Did I mention it's free? And I wrote a book. I was pretty impressed I wrote a book. And then it's like, yeah. Anyways, so go grab it. I'll drop the link in the comments below afterwards. I don't have it right this very second, but I will drop the link in the comments afterwards. So feel free to go. Kat's going to do something here. Feel free to go grab a copy. Okay, so I have some questions for you. And we're going to start off with some questions here this week. Are you feeling stressed out right now? I want you to check in with your body. My apologies for this screen bouncing. The cat is like going mad on the corner of my desk, loving it. And it makes everything bounce because she's pretty heavy. So, are you feeling stressed out right now? Are you feeling overwhelmed or unclear or kind of lost, maybe even? Do you secretly hate your life? Or maybe not so secretly. Maybe you're quite blah, but you really, hello, Sally, just don't know what to do or say first in order to make a change. Maybe you're frustrated because you can't really seem how to prioritize things and figure out what's really important to you. Okay, now she's going to jump off. Okay, there she's gone now. Yay! And I bet you have no idea how you ended up here. Because most of us are like completely clueless. How did this happen? How did I end up in this state? And maybe you're not sure what to do next. And I have a question for you. How awful would your life be if every day was like today or yesterday? How hard would that be for you to deal with? Because I know for myself, before I did this transformation, it was rough. Just the idea of not having that joyful bliss to wake up to in the morning was really depressing for me. Hello, Sandra. So if that's you, it's time to stop punishing yourself, stop torturing yourself, and start loving yourself. And I'm going to show you how in this probably a half hour, maybe 40 minutes, where we're going to deep dive into my book, and I'm going to not just read it, but I'm going to actually like chat about it and give you extra stuff, okay? But I definitely, if you haven't grabbed your copy of the book, you should go grab it over in Member Vault. Okay, so are you done playing head games with yourself? You have to make that conscious decision. You can't just be on the fence about this. You need to commit if you're ready. Because here's the secret, okay? When we are wishy-washy about things, the universe will not give us anything. We have to be clear and committed. And then our subconscious and the universe both take notice and say, ooh, she actually means it this time. Okay, I guess I better do it. And then they let you make that change, okay? It's funny because I had a girlfriend that sent me some kind of archetype quiz earlier, and apparently I'm a lover. Who knew, right? I knew that. But she was in the thingy. Hello, Lisa. In the thingy, they were talking about the idea that you have to convince your amygdala to allow your brain to make the changes that you want. That's your fight or flight response. And you really have to be committed. And you kind of have to, I hate to say it, but you kind of have to play a bit of mind games with yourself in order to actually make the changes. So hello, Leona. We're going through my book today. So for those of you who don't know, I wrote a book a while ago, like almost a year ago now. And it is called Stop Torturing Yourself, How to Find Your Happiness, basically. And so I'm going through this book with you guys. It's probably going to be about a half hour, 40 minutes. And we're just going to chat about not just the book, but a little bit more even. So I'm going to go in a little more depth to it. It's going to be fun, I promise. Okay, so it's a 3-step process. Most of you have heard me chat about these 3 steps a lot, but if you haven't, I'm going to run through them again. Number 1 is kicking stress to the curb. So you have to get rid of the underlying stresses. Hello, Lauren. Number 2 is to really reprogram your brain by stop torturing yourself. And number 3 is to figure out your big why. Because if you don't have a new purpose to replace the old shitty purpose that made you unhappy, you're not going to actually stick to any changes that you make. It's kind of how this works. So if you are struggling to find your work-life balance, if you are tired of feeling stuck and overwhelmed, and if you're tired of pretending that you have it all together, this is going to be fantastic. You're going to love it. And I get it. I was there too. I created this process out of desperation because nothing else worked. I needed to find a way because I had gotten an autoimmune disease, Meniere's disease, and it was pretty much constant vertigo attacks. It was horrific. And so I needed to stop my stress. I needed to stop the overwhelm. I needed to learn how to find that blissful place inside of myself. And I had been kind of dancing around with this stuff for years. I had been dancing with my stress and my anxiety for decades without actually doing anything about it. And it was time to finally finish with it. To say, I need a new way of living. I can't live like this anymore because I don't want to be. At that point, when I first got the Meniere's disease diagnosis, I was pretty much spending about 90% of my time in a vertigo attack, which is the most horrific spins. I love going on rides at places. Like, I love fairs and that kind of stuff. But hello, Monda and Charla. But it's like being on the Gravitron and the Zipper and the Polar Express all at one time. It's horrible. Like 14 ways from Sunday. You don't know which way's up. And like I said, it was about 90% of my time that I was spending either awake or asleep in this state. I couldn't do it anymore. I needed to find something different. And so there wasn't anything else out there that actually worked long term. And these 3 things actually worked. So I got creative. I mixed and matched and figured out that these are the 3 things. These are the 3 pillars that really any successful program is going to include. They don't all, if you have a program that just has 1 or 2 pieces of this, it's probably not going to be a long-term fix. It's going to be just like a short-term hit. And we don't want to do that anymore. We want the long-term permanent solution, not the garbage short-term yucky one. Hello, Stacy. So that was me. I spent my entire life cycling through all of the stress and the anxiety, and I was done. I was just done. I was a perfectionist. I was a type A who loved pressure. My catchphrase was, love pressure, eat it for breakfast. Arrgh! And now me is like, oh, I can't even say that and keep a straight face because that's totally not who I actually am at my core. And that was part of the problem, was there was a big disconnect for me between who I was pretending to be so that I could function day to day and so that I could survive in this world, and who I actually was, which was a much more laid back hippie style. And if you can relate to this, comment below, please. Say, yes, oh my God, that's totally me. Because I know that for myself, that was totally me. So I And I did these things in order. So I first started with working on my stress. Then I worked on my overwhelm. And then I found a reason to jump out of bed every morning. So that's what I'm looking for each of you. And for each of us, the individual steps don't change, like what the big picture looks like, but the pieces that make that step work for you are different than for me or for the person next to you or for the person next to you. So that's kind of what I want you to hear. There is magic to this process, and it is a magic that is inside of you. It is not an external magic. There is not somebody else with a magic wand who can, just touch you and make your stuff go away. Efren and the Heal Your Soul workshop, that's probably the closest that you're going to get to someone who can like magically fix things. And even he really can only work through you. You have to make the decision, the conscious decision that you're going to take action. Because without action, intention is nothing. It is nothing without action. Okay? So here we are. It works because you get really good clarity on what you want and how you want to show up in the world. And that's really the important thing in the world, right? So let's dive into this book, shall we? So step 1, I believe there are 5 ideas here, but there may be more. There may be something that I'm not mentioning that you're like, oh my God, yes, I do something similar to this, but it's this, okay? So these are the 5 things that are most recommended for stopping the stress, okay? So this is the kicking your stress to the curb section, okay? Number 1, self-care. And self-care is things like meditation. It's things like exercise. It's things like sleep. It's things like journaling. It's all the yummy things that we don't do nearly enough, but that we know are so important. So if you're feeling a lot of stress, I want you to stop and take care of you. And you could do bubble baths and whatever, but really the important things for self-care are the things like moving your body, feeding your body correctly, listening to your body, journaling, sleeping properly, and really, really finding a way to meditate that works for you. Now, not everyone meditates the same way. I find it very, very difficult to do the Zen meditation. I even have a book about Zen meditation, but I find it very difficult to do Zen meditation even now because it requires a level of stillness that my ADHD brain and autistic brain chirps in the background, and I get distracted and I forget that I'm supposed to be meditating, and before you know it, I'm just off in a daydream. So I find it more helpful to do a meditation while I'm doing activities. So if I'm going for a walk, I will meditate. If I am doing chores are fantastic for meditation. If I'm doing the dishes, that's another great one. Having a shower is actually very, very relaxing and meditative for me. I tend to do those kinds of things and focus on my breathing while I'm doing them. However, here's the thing, the big secret about meditation, because we all believe we're doing meditation wrong, right? If that's you, comment below, say, oh my God, yes, I totally get you here. I hear you. Because we're told that meditation is that you're stilling your mind and you're silencing your mind and you're having no thoughts whatsoever. Well, that's almost impossible to do. So really, for me and for most people who actually are a little less anal about this, Meditation is actually about listening to your mind, maybe controlling the direction that the thoughts go in, but it's about listening to your mind and your body. So you're really, when you're meditating, you are trying to pay attention to the meat suit that your soul is stuck inside. And you're trying to pay attention to what your body actually wants. And you're using that as your jumping off point for your meditation and for your thoughts, where your thoughts are going to go. Because it's not about not having thoughts. That's an impossibility for 90% of us. It's about stilling the thoughts so that you're paying attention to what your body wants and what your body's telling you. And then you are listening to the thoughts in your head about your body and about other things, because here's the important thing to know about meditation. When you are meditating, 9 times out of 10, things will come up and drop into your awareness that are incredibly important and that are like aha moments. And you're like, wow, I never even would have thought about that. And then I thought about it. You have realizations, you have breakthroughs, you may cry. I mean, meditation brings emotions up and allows you to flush them. So, and it's funny because over in the inner circle, we're actually talking about emotional intelligence this month. And one of the things that came up in the monthly call, which we just had on Sunday night, was the idea of being able to listen to your emotions and being able to bring yourself into the vibration that you actually want to be feeling. It's a very cool conversation. It was truly trippy. So for anybody that were, it was so much fun. And anybody that wasn't there, you should join the inner circle. And I'm just saying that because, we're fantastic. Sleep. Make sure that you have a standard bedtime routine that you use and that you are continuing to do that over and over and over again. It's really important that you have a set bedtime, if at all possible. If you do shift work, that you have maybe a couple of set bedtimes, but that you have a certain, like maybe you're awake for a certain number of hours, and then that's the signal to go to bed. Okay. And you have maybe your routine is that you go to the bathroom and you brush your teeth and you wash your face and then you do your affirmations because you need to do your affirmations, and maybe you do a little bit of journaling, and then maybe you spend 2 or 3 minutes just having a little meditation time where you're focusing in on your body and what your body wants, and you're just relaxing into it and just feeling your toes. Paying attention to what your toes are telling you. That's a really good way to, if you struggle with meditation, figure out where your toes are in this world. Anyways, so then you're doing all of those things and you end up taking care of yourself. Okay, so that's number 1. Number 2, stop people pleasing. And I know this one is so hard to do, but it is so important. And I've talked about this before. But people pleasing is the death of the soul. It really is. So start with the small people. Start with the people that aren't so important to you and work your way up into those bigger and more important conversations. This is all about boundaries, ladies. All about boundaries. Everything that I talk about is basically about boundaries. Okay? Talk nicely to yourself. And this one is, even if you catch yourself saying something mean, talk nicely to yourself. I have talked about my PAF method. I have so many good things, right? I've talked about my PAF method a lot, and that is permission, acceptance, forgiveness. You have a thought. It's an unhelpful thought. You give it permission to have been there. That's okay that I had that thought or that spiral of thoughts, if that's what it was. You give it acceptance. I accept that is part of me. I accept that those were things that my subconscious felt that I needed to know in this moment. You forgive yourself. I forgive myself and my subconscious for having had those thoughts. And then you just let it go. Just poof, flick it away. And then you focus on something else. You're redirecting back to your good stuff, okay? Because you're the only you that you're ever likely to have in this lifetime. I mean, you will eventually become a spirit again, and then you'll probably be reincarnated, because I believe in reincarnation, and all of my past life regression sessions have proven to me that reincarnation is real, ladies. So if you haven't done a past life regression yet, you probably want to do one, because it's so amazing. But oh my God, cats are such a pain. But that's talking nicely to yourself. Focusing on what you can control. We tend to focus on the things that we can't actually control. Cat. I love cats. Really, I do. They're so cute. Focus on the things you can control, though, because we tend to focus on the things that we can't control, and then we get all pissed off and frustrated because we didn't make the changes that we wanted to see. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. So please stop doing that to yourself. You deserve more. You deserve better than that. And I truly, truly cannot stress that enough. If you are trying to control things that you cannot control, if you are trying to control other people's reactions or other things in this world, you're not going to be terribly successful. So the only thing that you have control over is your reaction to the things in your life, period. When you accept that and you really allow that to be your reality, it changes everything. It really does. And the last one for the kicking or stress to the curb, making laughter a priority. Find a way to laugh every day. Every day. I don't care. Right now, I found a few Bob Hope videos on YouTube. So I watch like 2-3 minutes of Bob Hope every day. And he makes me laugh so freaking hard. I'm telling you, Bob Hope was like a genius. I tell you. And not a word of scandal. Not a word, unlike most modern guys. I used to really like Bill Cosby, but he's kind of a creep, so I can't. His Noah sketch still sends me over the edge laughter, but he's just so problematic that I just can't do it anymore. Anyways, so that is step 1, kicking stress to the curb. Step 2 is getting rid of the overwhelm. And this one is overthinking. And this is tied back into step 1 because we talked about the redirection and path. And when we let our negative thinking interrupt our lives, we really run the risk of becoming less happy than we want to be. So stop doing that, please. I have some broad categories of ways that we do this that are included in the book, and I want to run through them with you. We won't spend too much time doing them, but I want to run through them with you. Number 1 is predicting the future. So if you are the kind of person who spends all day, every day, imagining what could go wrong in the future, and without any real reality for these unhelpful thoughts, please don't do that. Please just be aware of it. The first step to changing any negative behavior that's not helpful for you is awareness. So please be aware of the fact that you are doing this. Number 2, it's mind reading. How many times, oh my goodness, I used to be famous for this. How many times have you just assumed that you knew what someone else was thinking? How many times have you been right? Right? We assume that people think we're stupid. We assume that people are ignoring us. We assume that people think that we are lazy, slobbish, unhelpful, a bitch, whatever it is. We assume, but we don't know for sure unless someone actually tells us. And they might just be having a bad day when they tell you that. So take everything that you've ever believed that someone else said about you with a grain of salt. Really, truly. Catastrophizing is another one. It's very, very similar to predicting the future. It's blowing things out of proportion. So this one is where if somebody doesn't get back to you right away, you assume that they hate you and that they never want to see you again. And you assume that there's like something wrong with you. And then before you know it, you're in the downward spiral. Just take a deep breath, and just let go, because it's probably not true. Things happen. People get sidetracked. It's probably not about you. I love you, but it's probably not about you. Probably not even a little bit about you, because not everything is about us. Even though we want to believe that everything is about us, it's usually not. The next one is focusing on the negatives. So if you, and this is especially true if you have an anxious personality. Anxious people tend to develop tunnel vision for the negative, right? We tend to focus on the things that are not going well and ignore all the things that are going well. So if you're in a room of 35 people and one person said one negative thing about you 20 years ago, what's the only thing you're going to think of if you're an anxious person? That person and the thing that they said 20 years ago. They may not even remember it. They may not believe it anymore, but you sure do, because that's what the story that you tell yourself. This is all about the stories that we tell ourselves. So it's really sad, and I really want you to stop doing that. So for those of you who have late joined, we are going through my book, Stop Torturing Yourself. It is a really great overview on how to really shift from where you are to where you want to be. It's an overview of my program, basically. So that's what we're doing this week. Overgeneralizing. So this one is another one that is so frustrating, and we all have done it a time or two. And it is the idea that if just one thing happened, we assume that it will keep happening over and over and over and over again. And we never assume that about the good stuff, do we? We never assume that if we find $100 on the ground, that we're always going to find $100 bills on the ground. Nope. But if one thing goes wrong, like say your car breaks down, okay, you're going to assume that your car will always break down because that's just our luck. Whereas the reality is it's a mixed bag, and you can focus on the negatives or you can focus on the positives. And please stop overgeneralizing and just assuming that everything will be awful all the time, okay? Next one is imagining the worst case scenario. Haven't we all done it? This is kind of like catastrophizing, right? So you assume that bad things are going to happen. You assume that it is going to be a disaster of epic proportions, whether it actually will be or not. There is no empirical evidence that it will be a disaster of epic proportions, but you are convinced that it will be just because, I don't know, the moon is green today. Who knows? But we do this, right? And then the last one is labeling. So this one is about ourselves. All the other ones were mostly focused on other people. This one is about ourselves. And it is about labeling ourselves in a negative way. So we give ourselves specific behavior labels that are negative. I'm lazy. I'm fat. I'm stupid. I'm late all the time. I'm a poor eater. I'm a bad reader. I'm this. I'm that. I'm a terrible dresser. I'm not a good friend. I'm unlovable. Haven't we all heard those things in our heads from time to time? What labels do you currently use in your life? Which of these 7 things do you find yourself using more often? Or do you use all of them? Or do you use none of them? Because if you use none of them, then why are you here? I'm just kidding. I'm glad you're here. But if you don't, honestly, there are some questions that I have for you that are going to help you to switch out of these thoughts. Okay? 6 questions, very, very simple. And they'll help you to snap out of the funk that you're in if you're having one of these 7 issues. Okay? Is there substantial evidence for my thought? Is there evidence contrary to my thought? Am I trying to interpret this situation without all the evidence? What would a friend think about this situation? If I looked at the situation positively, how's it different? Will this matter a year from now? What about 5 years from now? And these questions are fantastic for redirecting your little inner child and creating some differences in how you are going about your days. Because isn't that what we really want? We want to be in a different space than we actually are right now. Because where we are kind of sucks, right? So for those of you who are just joining, we are going through my book, Stop Torturing Yourself, the guidebook to becoming truly, unconditionally happy and living a blissful life. So I'm going to be popping the link in the comments below. I wrote this last summer somewhere, and I just love it. So I thought it would be a good time to go back through the 3 pillars that I consider to be the keystones for all of my work in all cases. And they are kicking your stress to the curb. So that is taking care of the physical body, stop torturing yourself, which is taking care of your mental body, which is the stuff we just covered, and then discovering your purpose, which is this one right here. So this one is a question, and it is an exercise that is kind of fun to do and a little terrifying at the same time. So I want to ask you, without talking about your job, your daily responsibilities, your long-term goals, what you do for other people, for you people pleasers in the crowd, what is your real, true life purpose? Not the one that has anything to do with other humans, but the one that has to do specifically with you, with your life. What is your life purpose? Now, my life purpose is to teach women how to love themselves. That is my life purpose. That is my goal. That is the reason that I am here on this planet in this lifetime, is to teach other people how to love themselves more. That's it. That is my reason for living, is to teach you how to love yourself. I do other things too. I have other businesses, I have other interests, but my actual purpose in life, the reason that I incarnated at this time in this body, sorry, the screen is bouncing, the cat's licking her leg. In this body, in this moment, kitty cat, I think you're gonna have to get down, is to teach women, is to help women discover who they really are and how much they actually love themselves. That's my goal, is to teach you the reason that you are here, the reason that your soul decided it needed to be here, really. So that's what I'm here for. So here's this really cool exercise that I have in this, and it is all about exploring your subconscious. It's so much fun and so scary all at the same time. So I want you to take a blank piece of paper. So I'm going to get a blank piece of paper here. And I want you to give yourself a couple of hours. And I want you to take a blank piece of paper or a couple pieces of paper, lined, unlined, whatever. And I want you to write, what is my true purpose in life at the top? What is my true purpose in life? And you can underline it, you can put stars beside it, you can make pretty, I don't care, but you need to write it, okay? And then I want you to write the first answer that pops into your head. Doesn't have to be right, doesn't have to be a sentence, doesn't have to be whatever. And then I want you to just keep writing things that are your true purpose in life until you get to the answer that makes you cry. Yeah, it's going to make you surge with emotion and cry. And mine, honest to God, it is making women love themselves more. That's my goal. That's my purpose in life, is to help other women love themselves more. And I will use every tool and every trick in my book to help you do that. And I will listen to all the intuition and I will just keep doing it. And that's it. It takes, when you're writing this, when you're practicing this and you're writing this, it takes about 15 or 20 minutes to really start to empty your mind of all of the things that you've been conditioned to believe are true, and really to explore what you actually want. And here's the thing, if you start with life is meaningless, or I don't have a purpose, or I don't know, that's okay. You're allowed to start where you start, but just keep going with it, because at the end of it, you're going to have something that is really, truly you and absolutely just lights you up from within. You will have some answers that are close. They're going to feel so close, but not quite it. You're going to know when you hit it, when you hit the right answer for you, when you actually find your purpose. It comes from a different place. It comes from finally you're in touch with your spirit guides, and your spirit guides are like, this, you're ready for this? This is your purpose. This is the thing you need to be doing with your life. And it's probably not going to be anywhere near what you thought it was going to be. Because I know for myself, mine wasn't what I thought it was going to be. I mean, I was a flea-bitten commercial property manager of 20 years. I was as hard-nosed and non-woo as they come. I really was. I mean, I had spent my early teens, really all through my teens, I had spent my teens and into my early 20s playing with woo stuff before there was a woo community even. But learning about ESP and learning about aliens and learning about this and learning about that and all the stuff, right? Except that I put it away when I grew up. And then I had to rediscover it again when I had my spiritual awakening, which was, the kick in the ass that Meniere's disease was. That was my wake-up call to say, yeah, you know what? You need to be doing this other thing because it's way more important, and it's your actual purpose in life. And you can fart around for years and years and years, and you can love buildings, and you can love all of that stuff. But at the end of the day, this is your purpose. This is the thing that you came here for. And it wasn't to fart around with buildings. It was to fart around with this human psyche. So stop farting around. Now, you may end up going off in weird tangents. You may find yourself writing down the same thing over and over again. Just keep going. And you may find yourself inventing reasons to stop doing this because your subconscious maybe doesn't want you to know. Maybe your thing is that you're not quite ready for it, or your subconscious doesn't think you're quite ready for it. I want you to keep going anyways, because that's your amygdala trying to keep you safe. That is your inner child trying to keep you safe and feeling like this is a thread that you shouldn't be pulling, feeling like this is a threat to your very survival. And let me tell you, it's not. Because when you discover your purpose, it makes getting out of bed in the morning so much more fun. I never, ever dread getting out of bed in the morning anymore. And I was the worst for dreading getting out of bed. I hated getting out of bed. I found it so depressing and sad. And it's awful when you think about the fact that actually was my life for so long. That even though I loved the job that I did, I didn't feel fulfilled in the way that I needed to. I didn't feel fulfilled enough to wake up in the morning, excited to get out of bed and jump into things. I would wake up in the morning and be sad, wake up in the morning and be grumpy, wake up in the morning and just like struggle my way to the bathroom. I don't have that anymore. And that is really, truly a fantastic gift to give yourself, because I have all three of these pillars under control now. I use my body as my temple, and I listen to my body, although my body's trying to convince me to go vegetarian right now, and I'm not ready to go vegetarian. I come from a long line of carnivores, people. This is a big problem for me. So yes, I'm struggling with that. But, aside from that, I'm listening to my body more. I am quieting my mind. I am able to use all of the tools that I gave you for step 2 to really quiet my mind and make sure that I am in alignment with who I want to be. And I did my life purpose exercise, and the answer was what I expected at this point in my life. I didn't find the life purpose exercise until after I already knew my life purpose was to do this work that I'm doing with you ladies right here. And so that is the greatest gift that you can give yourself, is to be in alignment with who you actually need to be at your soul level. And so you now have all my tools. Well, not all my tools. I have a lot of tools, but you have the broad outlines of what you need to do to take control of your life, to learn how to love yourself, to learn how to live the life that you're meant to live, to learn how to be more successful in your everyday life, to learn how to have bliss all day, every day. So the table's about to go bouncing because the cat's going to jump down. So take advantage of this. Use these tools, because honestly, this is the most important the most important work that you will ever do in your life is working on yourself, is making these small changes. We're not talking big, enormous changes, because big changes you don't stick to. Little, teeny, tiny shifts in consciousness, in abilities, in awareness, they create massive changes in your life without you even being aware of it. That's the goal, ladies. So if you aren't sure what to do first, what to do next, how to get started, I would love to have a conversation with you about that. I have a lot of very good tools and techniques. I have a lot of really good programs that are available for women. I have some self-study stuff that is very inexpensive. I have the Inner Circle, which is like $35 a month. It's a no-brainer to join the Inner Circle. I have one-on-one coaching and one-on-one past life regression sessions. Vicki and I have the Heal Your Soul workshop and the Heal Your Soul sessions. There's so many ways to work with me and so many incredible opportunities to really dive into this work and to really transform your life just with little teeny tiny shifts. It just takes that first step. So if you're not sure what you should be doing first, send me a message. We'll chat for free because I believe so strongly that you need to take the first steps. You need to. So let's talk about you and your situation. I'll give you some pointers. We'll get you pointed in the right direction. I'll give you my personal suggestion for a starting point with working with me, and we'll go from there, because honestly, you deserve to love yourself. You deserve to spend your life in a way that makes you happy. You deserve to know that you are the most important person in your life. Period. End of conversation. On that note, because it is the end of conversation, I'm going to let you go. I'm going to go have some supper. We've got our final Heal Your Soul workshop for the first group of survivors. I don't know. Ismaya, and Connie, what would you say that you've accomplished from being in Heal Your Soul? I know that it has been very transformative for all of the ladies that have participated and shown up for themselves in the calls. And I cannot wait to chat with all of you and see if that's the right place for you or if something else is the right place for you. And whatever life throws at you, know that I've got your back. I'm here for you. Whatever you've got going on, let me know, and let's chat about how to make the shift into what you actually want from your life. Okay? We'll talk soon. Ciao.